Hello, everyone, and welcome back to CLX Foundry Live. I'm your host, DJ BluePDX, here, of course, with our lead technical expert, Paul Steffens, and today's master builder, Zack Hutchinson. Gentlemen, I would love for you both to be my Fan White for a second. What was that? What was that, Zack? God. For starters, don't forget, we're down to the final few days of the month, and this month, you're going to get a chance to win that beautiful PC standing back between the guys. It is our lavender giveaway for the month of April. It is loaded full of incredible components, and it is going to be one heck of a beast for whoever the lucky winner is. In order to get your entries, all you got to do is type exclamation give lav, or yeah, give lav. As you can see, Nightbot will put it up there as well, and then you can follow all the instructions to get entries. However, there are other ways to get more entries, and that's by using the codes you can pick up on our social media. That is YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter at CLX Gaming. You can also pick them up by answering really awesome trivia questions in our Discord at discord.gg/CLX Gaming. You can also find them on my channel at DJ BluePDX. So pay attention. Some of them might be coded. Some of them might just be thrown into chat. It's usually first come, first serve unless it's limited, so make sure you've got that up. So make sure you've got that all set up and ready to go for that redemption early bird code drop. Let's go. With that being said, we've got an incredible PC for Paul in Arizona, which is not Paul in Kansas.
Not me. I wish.
Paul, what are we doing for Paul?
All right, so for my doppelganger counterpart out in AZ, we've got a raw battle box that he's configured on our website. So we're starting off, we got an i9-13900KF. We've got a 360 AIO to cool that. We've got an MSI Z790 Edge Wi-Fi for our motherboard. 64 gigs of DDR5 5600 speed Kingston Fury Black RGB. 2 terabyte NVMe drive for our OS storage. 4 terabyte storage drive HDD for all of our other fun stuff. We've got a 4090 going in this thing. 7 case fans. 1300 watt power supply. Huge one there, and this is all going inside our Evolv X Black.
Nice. This sounds like it's gonna be beastly, so let's go ahead and get into it. By the way, if you hear us speak about a term or talk about a piece of technology that doesn't exactly sound familiar, like my mic continuing to rise up in my face, stop it. Not a term. It's like, I want to be here. Don't forget, you can always ask questions. Please feel free to ask questions. There are no such thing as dumb questions. So hop on in it. Let's do it. Go. Are you? Oh, J-Todd. Well, are we all going to? You know what? We may very well. We're not sure. But definitely today. All right, let's get this started. This is going to be in an Evolv case, which I know that you absolutely love these cases, Paul. What are some of the big things that you like about these cases?
Yeah, so first off, I just like the overall look of them. This is the one that I have in my system here, or my personal system at home. One of the big things to point out, those side panels obviously coming off real easy. One of the things about this case that make it look really good, you can see these doors here. Now we're gonna pull these off to build it, but these cover all of our cable management, and they just look really neat too. This case has good RGB all around. Zack will pull this front panel off. You can see the RGB strips on the back of that panel. We can get into that a little bit more later. We'll show how those connect. But yeah, just a really good case. It's a good size. Pretty much every video card is going to fit in this thing. You can mount your AIO up top and the front. A lot of options. So yeah, just overall, I love the look and I love the doors on the back.
Alrighty. Hopping through everything we got on this. So, of course, this case is going to be what we're using. This is considered a raw build. Raws are our largest aside from the elites, which are basically overkill for regular people.
Yeah, the elites are cool. We've actually seen like an influx in elite orders too. I think we've seen like 4 come through this week, something like that. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. The first piece of the puzzle here, noted before we get into that processor, is going to be our motherboard. And this is an MSI MPG Z790 Edge Wi-Fi. Obviously, a little bit higher, I would say more recent components than 690 chipsets. So what are the big differences between the 690 and 790 chipsets?
So the big thing here, it's got a few different just generational increases. This is DDR5, so that's probably the biggest one there. With Intel's new stuff, they've got it to where you can do DDR4 or DDR5, which is pretty cool. So this one being DDR5. And yeah, I mean, there's some other technical differences between them, but that's pretty much the biggest ones in my opinion. It's obviously newer than the Z690, so this thing will have a little bit more longevity than that chipset going forward. And yeah, love the look of this one too. It's like silver white with the black PCB, and then you can see these lines down here. This is like actual RGB that's going to be going around it, so looks good.
Nice. Awesome. Take a look at that I/O panel right there. We have got our HDMI and DVI. DVI?
DisplayPort.
DisplayPort. I don't know. DVI is, that's old crap. As you can see, you've also got your multiple different USB 3.2 and Gen 3.2 Gen 1s and 3.2 Gen 2s on there. As you can see, the red ones are the high-speed ones. Let's go 10 gigs up and down for that. Plus, we've got two USB-Cs that are also for that bypass. You've got a 2.5 gig LAN port, which is awesome, but also you've got Wi-Fi 6E, which is horrifically fast on top of your opportunity for exquisite sound through the IR port or through all the surround sound speaker add-ons.
Yeah, really solid I/O on this board. Plenty of those USB ports. I like those buttons that Zach just pointed out there. If you're updating your BIOS, they're easy to do. And then, you know, we're obviously starting to see the Type-C show up. You know, we were seeing like one on each I/O, and it's kind of cool to start seeing two, now that a lot of everybody's devices are kind of switching to Type-C.
Yeah. Well, and it's so universal. It's easier, it's smaller, it's harder to break, you know? So, as far as the RAM goes for this, we can get up to 7,200 plus overclocked, which is wild. It is, and this is one of those boards, we talked about this last on Tuesday, that most boards we see are at 128. This is one of those rare instances where we've got a board that's at 192. It maxes out at 192 gigs of RAM. Now, if you're going to be putting all four slots to use, what size RAM would you need in order to get that total of 192?
So, quick math in my head, there's different size kits now that you can get that a lot of the companies are releasing, so you definitely want to buy one of those kits. I'm saving myself from doing math right now. But yeah, I mean, that's a ton of RAM, so that's a pretty, I don't know what you would need that much RAM for on a gaming build. You know, that's obviously if you're doing some crazy editing, some stuff like that, you might want that much, but yeah.
And then, of course, if you look down there, we've got a lot of heat shields. Let's talk about that for a second. We've got 5 options for M.2s. 5, which is ridiculous. 7 SATA 6G connectors in this system, which is awesome. Obviously, the top PCI is the one that we're going to be using, I would assume. And then the other 4, I'm thinking, are down below in the South Bridge in those 2 other bays.
Yeah, so that long one on the bottom, you can obviously see our screws here, 1, 2, but
it's
yeah,
gonna
this
be a
long
dually,
one at the
isn't
bottom, yep, it's gonna have 2. And something else this board has, which is kind of cool, it's got that printed on here itself, which is a nice touch. I think it's kind of funny that it says 4 memory slots. It's like, yeah, there's 4 memory slots. But yeah, it's cool to have the M.2s under there, because it can be kind of hard to tell if you're not familiar with motherboards, like what's even going on under the heatsink.
Yeah.
So.
We got some new faces in the crowd. We've got Pacific and Northwest, somebody from Portland. What's up, P&W? How's it going? Subject is back. Kenzu is here. Vex is here once again to guess every single code possible known to mankind. There you go. So welcome to the show, everybody. Once again, questions? You got questions? We've got answers. So what's the first thing we're going to be installing? We're going to be installing this monster of a processor. It's my favorite processor, to be fair. It's an i9 13900KF. Now, some of you might not be familiar with what those letters stand for. So, Paul, what are the different letters behind the processor stand for?
Yeah, so you'll always see a few different letters behind the processor or after the model number there. So the K is probably the most common one you'll see. That stands for unlocked, so we can overclock this processor. The F is starting to be more common. That started a couple of years ago with Intel's, and all the F means is that there is not onboard video on this processor. So if you wanted to run this machine without a video card and use your video outputs on your motherboard, you wouldn't be able to get video with this processor. Now obviously in these high-end gaming machines, 99.99% of the time you're gonna have a video card, so you don't need the onboard video of the processor. It can save you a few bucks. The 13900 KF is a little bit cheaper than the regular K that does have onboard video. So if you don't need onboard video, you can save a few bucks by going with the F.
Awesome, there we go. To answer the question real quick, I was going to type it up, then I just realized, screw it, I'll just answer it. She's doing okay. Last night was a little rough, but today, an hour before the show, she was doing much, much better. So
good.
She's feeling it. Yeah. And of course, now I'm on all sorts of weird things, which is great. Daddy Hydro 1 says, do you use dust to clean your rig like I do? I'm assuming that you mean...
I'm assuming some air duster.
What's up, Combat, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah, air duster. Okay, I was like, dust. Do we use dust to clean it? I mean, I guess you could scrub it down in dust, but I don't feel like that's the best option. Combat Rhinos in the house. How's it going? Good to see y'all. Shasta's here. All right, so we've got that popped in there. What are anything to note about what we're going to be doing with that cooling? Because we're going to be putting on a CLX Quench 360 closed loop liquid cooler.
Yeah.
Now, Zack does things differently than Hayden. Every master builder's got their process. So, Zack, what's the next thing you're going to want to do?
So I will install our mounting hardware for our heat redundant source. And every system has different parts, so just make sure I have the right kit is the best practice for this.
I love how we just sat it down on there without even having to aim. It was just like blop, it's in the holes. GG.
Muscle memory right there.
Right? I looked at it, I was like, are you gonna have to aim that so you don't hit it on the nope? All right, it just went in. Perfect. Sounds good.
Zach, your experience is showing.
Sorry.
So
yeah, like Zach
sandblasted it?
mentioned,
Wow,
so,
yeah. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, I definitely need to vacuum out my streaming PC. It is starting to act up. So I opened up the door to be like, all right, what's possibly going on? And I thought, you know what's going on is there are no magnetic filters on this, and everything has come inside of this case. There is more dust on the inside than there is on the outside.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that could be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that dust, when it collects up too much, it's like putting a nice blanket on top of your components. It can hold heat in, and that's why you want to get rid of that.
Nice, heavy, weighted blanket.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Not me actually needing a PC now, so I got to keep entering these giveaways. Penguin Parkour, heck yeah. Listen, we love that. Combat Rhino says it would take me 3 bajillion tries to get that aim that quickly. I'm going to be right there with you, dude. Right there with you. Necro might sell a bike for a PC from them. That's a thing. It's an option. All right, now you just put something, a little what looks like gray snot on top of the CPU. What's that?
So that is thermal paste. And what that does is that helps transfer the heat that the processor is creating, and it moves it into the pump on the all-in-one. And then that distributes, that pushes water through its system, and it moves the heat off into the radiator, which gets pushed out of the system by the fans.
Water near a computer? That sounds dangerous. Tell me more.
Yeah, so now there's obviously a few ways to cool off your CPU. So we've talked about it before, but you've got air cooling, which is the first one I bring up. We don't really see that too often anymore. Some PC builders like to use that just because it's quieter, a little bit easier. Yeah, like it's very easy to install, easy to maintain. But you can also go with an AIO, which is what this is. This is AIO stands for all-in-one, so the liquid cooler. So this comes out of the box ready to go. We just install the hardware. You saw Zach do. This radiator already has coolant in it. We don't need to open up, add anything to it. So this is going to provide greater cooling than an air cooler would.
Definitely. Greg Wiz, good afternoon to you too, although it is still technically morning here in the West Coast. All right. Now we're getting this on there, and we talked a little bit about open loop versus closed loop. We did an open loop on our show last week?
Yeah, last week.
Yeah, last week on Tuesday.
Yep.
So if you want to check out that build, you can check it out on our YouTube channel right now. And that is, with that CLX Gaming. It's really interesting because it is a unique way of looking at how to cool things. I'm going to be honest, I feel much less scared of having an open loop system now that I watched you guys build it out. I saw what it goes into it, and the precautions that are necessary to be taken in those moments. So
yeah, that was a blast doing that too. So we'll definitely see more open loops on our channel. It's something that open loops obviously take a whole lot more labor than just a regular closed loop system.
Oh yeah.
Because we custom bend tubes and do all that stuff. So we're kind of figuring out how to show the whole process, but still keep it in a good time frame. So yeah, we'll work that out, and then we'll be able to show some tube bending and all that good stuff later on.
Nice.
Do our memory. Yeah. There you go. There's our memory.
Awesome. All right. As for the memory, we've got two 32 gig sticks of Kingston DDR5 5600 RAM for a total of 64 gigs. Now, granted, you could do 4 16s, but what is the, I would say, are there any advantages to going with two 32s as opposed to 4 16s?
Yeah, so the biggest advantage is that now you've got 2 slots open for increasing your capacity later on down the road. Now, performance-wise, if you're really measuring performance and everything, it's going to perform better if we had 4 16s versus 2 32 gigs. But you're really only going to see that performance increase in like a benchmarking software. As far as like in your game frames per second, you're not going to notice that big of a difference, if any, honestly. I don't want to say you're not going to notice any difference, and then someone's like, "Hey, I got 1 frame more in this." But yeah, the difference in gaming is negligible.
Okay. Now that we got that on, what's next? We're going to do the M.2. While he's pulling that heat shield off, what is it that is? Tell us what's inside of an actual heat shield for an M.2.
Yeah, so under this heat shield right here, you can see that kind of gray pad. That's called a thermal pad. There's some plastic on there. Definitely make sure you remove that plastic. And what that thermal pad does is it's basically performing the same function as thermal paste, but it's in this pad form, so it's a lot less messy. You don't got to wipe it off and reapply it. This is just, it's kind of sticky itself, so it adheres to the M.2. And really this you can just peel off the back. So I can just peel the corner and stick it back on to show you. It's nothing crazy, it's just on there, and yeah, provides good heat transfer from the M.2 to the metal, and then our case fans will obviously cool that off.
Anything specific stand out to you that's unique about these?
The way that connected was awesome. This is like a screwless design. You can watch Zach just pull this off. It's just got a little tab you push down on and pop it off. I think we're only
seems
seeing
like
this.
It's a lot easier to do.
Yeah, it's a lot easier, one less screw to deal with. Even putting that in, there's a little locking mechanism, so we don't have to use any screws for M.2, which is nice because those screws are tiny. If you've ever worked with an M.2 and not had a magnetic screwdriver, you've definitely felt that pain. That tab, I think, is something we've only seen on MSI boards so far. Now, typically when we see some innovation like this, the other manufacturers will pick up on it. Everybody kind of, if someone breaks through with something awesome, then we start seeing across the board. So I would love to start seeing this on every motherboard.
I saw a new connector the other day for M.2s, and it how this is the twist one, then there's that one that like snaps up and closes. This was like a new design where it's just like you just push down.
That's it, and it just like locks in. That's cool.
Like,
yeah,
it was weird.
Pretty cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So, our motherboard, do you want to throw fans on?
I think we're
case first? Yeah, okay. We'll get some fans on our radiator
All
here.
right.
Sometimes we do this. We pretty much will always put the fans on outside of the case. Sometimes we'll mount the motherboard into the case and put the fans on outside of it. Sometimes we'll do it before. It just kind of depends on the build.
Nice. We do have, for the fans, 7 different GameDS AEOLUS M2 ARGB fans. These are the black base white fans, which are awesome. It's going to give it, it's going to be a good balance because you've also got that board, which is very white on its shields, on its I/O shield, and then you've got the dark board. So I feel like this is going to be a good balance for that.
Yeah, this thing will look really good. With this case being black, it'll look really sleek, and the RGB is going to really pop on the inside of it.
By the way, big shout out and thank you to all of our resubscribers. You can do that with Prime. You can do that with the cash. Either way, get you some extra entries into the giveaway. We've got a hype train, by the way. 2 minutes and 17 seconds in order to get a hype train going.
Oh,
choo
let's
choo,
go.
mother truckers.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the subs, guys. Like
Daddy Hydro says, yeah. Daddy Hydro says, seriously, I can't believe I've been missing this. It's as nice as watching a talented guitarist play. I thoroughly agree.
Well, that is kind. Thank you.
Thank you.
We really appreciate that. Yeah.
All right. It's the Gummy Bear Ninja. Hello.
He's here.
Welcome. Ah. All right.
Alrighty, so we got our fans installed on our AIO. We're just cruising right along here, so we'll go ahead and get the case up here, and we'll start mounting the motherboard to the case.
Perfect. All right. So first thing to point out before you drop that in there, can you point out what you're going to be setting that on?
Yeah. So we are going to be setting it on the standoffs. There we go. So what standoffs do, I'll point them out. I'm getting this lined up and I'll point them out to you. They're kind of hard to see with the black case. So these are our standoffs here. These are called standoffs because they're obviously standing on the case. Our motherboard is going to sit on top of these, and then it lines up with the mounting holes on our motherboard. So what these do is allow the motherboard to be secured to the case without touching the back metal that would be shorting out anything on the motherboard.
Gotcha. And so how many of those are there? You said there's 9?
Yeah, so this one has 9. Now most ATXs are going to have 9 standoffs with mounting holes into the motherboard. There are some ASRock motherboards that have an extra hole on the side that you can put a standoff in and mount it there. I don't know why they do that. I kind of wish they didn't. I wish it'd just be a standard across everything, but it is what it is. So an easy way to see these mounting holes, you can see they've got these solder lands around the holes. They kind of shine and really just show where you should be mounting it. Sometimes there'll be some holes on a motherboard that are there for a manufacturing process. So what you want to look for are these solder lands. You see Zach putting those in right now.
Nice.
And so what we're installing on these bottom two, and what Zach started out here, he's prepping for the end of the build. We've got our actual anti-sag bracket standoffs going in there. So essentially we have standoffs in those 2 bottom right holes that the motherboard is sitting on, and then we're installing another standoff into that standoff for our anti-sag bracket to mount to.
There we go. Got some conversations in the chat happening about the fact that 3070 Ti's are running right about the same price as the 3080. I'm understanding that correctly? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, prices on those video cards, I feel like that changes all daily. You gotta keep checking up on those, especially when the 40 series is out. You know, you can probably get you a pretty good deal on a high-end 30 series card if you just find the right listing.
Oh, yeah. Yep, agreed. All right, getting that final screw in there. Now, that M.2, by the way, that we put in there is a 2 terabyte Kingston NV1 M.2. If it's an NVMe SSD, there are multiple different types of hard drives, though, and this is not the only hard drive going in this system. We'll talk about the other one in just a second, but Paul, what are the different types of hard drives that are available to be put into PCs these days?
Yeah, so your storage is typically broken down into 2 main categories, your SSD and your HDD. So an SSD, that's a solid state drive. That's what we're seeing a lot more common. And your HDD is a hard disk drive. It's what's right here in my hand. Now, this is what a hard drive looks like to most people who have been building PCs for a while. This is all we had. We didn't have any solid state drives back in the day. So from those 2 categories, SSDs have no moving parts in them, hence solid state. Hard disk drives have moving state. So there's actual platters stacked on top of each other that look like little CDs and an arm that swivels and reads the data. So these drives are a lot slower than our solid state drives, and that's the biggest reason you want to go with an SSD. If you were gaming, 10, 15 years ago, whenever you booted up your PC, it would take minutes to get to your operating system. Whereas now with an SSD, you can
Oh,
press
yeah.
the power button on your computer and you're in your OS in literally seconds. So, and as new SSDs come
Like-
out, you know, they just get faster and faster. So,
my old Toshiba laptop that I want to say I got in like 2004, 2005 had a 4800 RPM, 4200 RPM
okay, yeah.
hard drive in it. It did its job.
Yeah.
But holy crap, was it slow?
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny, like,
And you don't really
didn't know
think
that-
about like how much data. Yeah, there's tons of differences, but yeah.
Do you want this in the top or the bottom one,
Top
Zach?
of it.
Top?
Top,
Okay.
please.
So I'm going to go ahead and mount this hard drive into our hard drive cage here. Now, another thing that's really cool about this case is the way the extra drives are stored. So it comes with these trays here, and these will actually slide in together, and these will go into the bottom of the case. So we will show these here when we mount it in, the holes they line up in, but you can actually separate these like this. And so you can just put one in, two, there's plenty of room for a ton of them. And what's nice is, so we'll just stack two in here like this. You get that nice click, that means our tab's coming in. And that way if this customer has an extra drive they want to throw in, they'll have an open spot for that. So this will just slide in here. It'll line up with the holes on the side, and that's how we'll screw it in.
Nice. Alrighty. Got that
Snag all
bad
over
boy
those
up there.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Let's go. Look at all them. Is that our code emote, I believe I see?
Look at all them codes. We
go.
got codes coming in. People see
Keep 'em
the
going,
ODE
guys.
say, what?
Keep them going. Maybe
Code.
Ivory will drop one. We'll see.
Bum bum bada bum bada bum bum bum.
Let's go. That's great to see. Appreciate everybody for being here. This is awesome. Keep spamming them. Let's go.
Yeah. Please
go.
continue harassing him. That's hilarious.
Don't stop till you see a code. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
Now, let's talk a little what we got the cameras on right now. You are screwing in that hard drive, and for anybody who's wondering, that is a 4 terabyte, 3.5-inch Western Digital Blue hard disk drive, and it looks like you're mounting it into a case.
Yeah, so these are the trays that come with the case, and you can stackable. Zach likes to make a leaning tower of Phanteks hard disk trays, so I think he's probably got about 100 of them stacked on top of each other by his desk. It's almost going to reach the ceiling. But no, so you can stack these on top. They'll mount here in the bottom of the case. We'll show that once we get to that part. Really easy to mount them, honestly. I really like that.
Yep. Real quick, let there be code LAV-F5DH. That is going to be F5 DreamHack. F5DH right there. There you go. That is your code. Make sure you grab that. It is unlimited, so that means everybody gets to use it. How awesome is that?
Nice, nice.
There we go. Codes for everyone. Nicole's just in here with all the codes. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. So enjoy that. I believe those unlimited ones are actually worth 200, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
I may be mistaken. They are worth 200. They are worth there. So you get 200 extra entries to win that incredible PC that is currently being blocked by the one being built today. And trust me, we give all the attention to the newbie. Speaking of newbies, one fun thing that Phanteks likes to do on its cases, as you can see right there, it looks like little straps. They're actually Velcro straps that are branded Phanteks. Why are those important, and what are those used for?
Yeah, so those are our cable management straps, and so if you didn't want to use any zip ties on your system, you can use those that are there for it. We like basically making the tie-up look as clean as possible without using them, and then putting those on top of our tie-up. So we'll show that. It just makes everything come together. And we want it to look good. Even though there's going to be those doors covering it, it's going to look amazing even if you didn't have those doors on there. So once we get more in the tie-up portion, we'll show those. There's little plastic tabs on the side of that case that the other side of the Velcro straps down to, and then you bring it back around and it secures everything.
Yep. Quick shout out to the Lost Drake who's in here. one of our newest, wait, no, I haven't. Yeah.
Our newest friends.
We got to experience him with all sorts of entertainment over at DreamHack. And, buddy, here he is. What's up, Drake? How you been? What you up to today? We're building PCs. Hello. You find Lost Drake over on the Lost Drake side of the world? Yeah. Okay, so we've got this back on there. We've obviously got some cable management that's going to be happening. Now, since there's only 7 fans and the controllers take 8, are we only going to be needing 1 controller for this build?
Correct, yes. We will only need 1 controller for that build. And I'll actually grab that real quick so we can show you how this works. Now, we showed this a few times on our shows before showing with how they can daisy chain together, which is a pretty cool way to do them. So we've got this is our fan controller here. Now it's got options to daisy chain. That's what these LED in and outs are here. But you can see there's some stuff printed on this. So we've got fan 1 starting here, 2, 3, 4. Then we've got 5, 6, 7, 8 on this side. Now this does have an LED 1 and LED 2. This is for if we had any light strips we were adding, they could plug into this box and then everything would be synced up with the fans.
Okay.
So the big thing to remember when you're using these is you want to install your fans, you want to plug them in sequential order. So even though we only have 7, we can't just plug them into any of these ports. We need to start at 1 and work our way up to 7. And it's all powered via SATA from our power supply. So that's how it's going to be powering these. All controlled with a remote to do your fan speeds and RGBs.
So to answer subject's question, subject notice that I have Astro headphones on because you know I only wear Astros. And yeah, I do not have the mic in because I am using a Logitech mic. So I have an XLR mic that gives me that great sound and compression. Oh yeah.
Nice.
So this is actually the Sona. It's the Logitech Blue microphone Sona. It's made by the same company who makes the Yetis, but this is a combo mic. It's both dynamic and compression. So, or condenser. So it uses that condenser to actually, oh, here's the mic, by the way. It uses the mic to, uses the condenser side of the mic to help isolate the sound while the dynamic picks up all of the rich tones without ever blowing out. That's why I can now scream, ah! And it doesn't blow out. Also, unless I'm blowing up everybody's ears with headphones on, and for that, I'm very sorry. Oh, there we go.
Nice.
Yes, subject, you did spell that correctly. Absolutely. All right, what is going on now?
Extreme cable management. So just doing like how I always do, just working in steps, getting the case all tied up first, and then working to the fans, and then we'll continue on with the power.
There we go. All right. Now the nice thing is because there's less space. Now we've talked about some of the other cases where we have a 2/3 design. This is a full inset case, so we don't have that rear section like we do before. But again, we also have a very different, I would say, build out on this simply because you've got doors everywhere, which is nice. It makes everything very easily accessible.
Yeah, being able to just open your back panel without taking any screws out and then get to your cables as well without taking any screws out is really great. And on like usually when you do that, you sacrifice the look, but this thing has it all. So
Zach's got a real focus face right now, and of course, cable management is exceedingly important. Oh wait, why the heck? Yeah, so it's exceedingly important. Why is proper cable management valuable, and why is maintaining proper cable management valuable in a PC case?
Yeah, so the biggest practical reason is going to be keeping your airflow smooth throughout your case. Now you could install all your components in here and just plug everything all willy-nilly and not worry about it, but that means you're going to have obstructions in your airflow. which will have some effect on your system. The other reason we like to do it is just the overall aesthetic. I mean, if you're buying a PC through us, you want it like professionally built. You want it to look great. And so that's another big reason why we do it. You'll see once we get done with the cable management and what we've done on the other shows. Yeah. This thing looks amazing when it's all done.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Lots of fun. A couple things to talk about in just for, I would say, good housekeeping in that sense. When you or if you ever have to go in and replace something or add something or upgrade something in your build, it's always a good idea to use your cell phone, take a picture of the way things are lined up, tied up, etc. So you can get everything put back together the same way that it was built in. That way you're not risking any of your airflow, you're not risking any of your potential for cooling, and you're just kind of following through with stuff. So yeah, check that out, do that, and there you go. Now, one thing I do want to talk about is the air care, all the airflow and filtration on this case.
Yeah, so this is more of a traditional style is what I like to call it as far as case design for our airflow. We have our main intake here in the front. So we've got 3 120mm fans up here in the front. Something to keep in mind too for these front fans, we have a shroud down here that covers up our power supply. There's a little bit window. If we can actually go back to our front shot here, Jason. So you can see this is what we call a case shroud or a power supply shroud. So our power supply is going to sit here. We're going to be able to see it in this window. What you'll see is this bottom fan here is kind of halfway between this shroud and the regular case. And that's because our hard drives mount under this shroud. So this bottom fan is going to give airflow for our hard drives as well. So we obviously, like I said, we have our main intake here at the front. Then we've got 3 exhausting out the top and 1 exhausting out the rear.
Gotcha. So Vex, you said you're going to miss the stream. So what you're saying is I need to not make this a super complicated code hint for later on today. Baby Cody says I recommend Velcro strips so you don't gotta cut them or anything, and you can keep everything tidy and just take the cord out that you need when fixing it. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, I think for, if you're just building your PC at home and, you're building one PC every now and then, definitely the Velcro straps are super nice. And we even use those on some O11s, use like 1 or 2. We prefer the zip ties just because you can get a cleaner look. They're a little bit thinner. And that's why we like using them. It's a little easier to go faster with the zip ties too than having to worry about getting a Velcro strap tightened down.
Yeah. I dig it. So, oh wow, that's why they said don't drink coffee with us. Interesting. I got a little bit of the heartburn a little bit earlier in the day. That's a little awkward. All right. So we're getting this all in there. You've got the power supply down below. We've also got the hard drive going in down below. And it's all connecting. The one thing I'd love to talk about then is we've discussed the connectivity on the back of the IO shield for the board itself. What other connections do we have that are built into the case for this?
Yeah, so we've got some connections on our front here. While we've got this front panel off, we can show that. So up top is our front panel connections. We've got 2 USB 3.0s, a Type C in the middle, and then we've got our headset and audio port there as well. So
nice.
That's a good shot of there. Something else I want to point out while we've got it is you can see those 3 gold dots there. That is actually for RGB for our front panel. So this is our front panel that goes on. There's a filter that goes in between these, but we'll just do the front panel for now. So we've got RGB strips. These come on this case. And then these 3 pins are going to make connection to those 3 dots there. And that's what's going to power RGB. So there's no cables for the front RGB for this case, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And now you can see with this installed, you can't see your USB ports. So it's got this nice door here that you can flip up if you're not using them. And keep it closed and just have a really smooth look.
Nice. I dig it. For the longest time, I thought that the front 3 fans are what created the light behind, behind that panel, and sure enough, no, that is an incorrect assumption.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll see it when we get it on. It really glows. Those light strips really do a lot. And there is a nice...
Aragani mentions that they said your shirt is sick. I'm not sure which person's shirt you're referring to, but
it's got to be Zach's one of one CLX tie-dye shirt here.
Zach, did you make yourself a tie-dye shirt?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. He did make a... you tie-dyed the white version.
Custom tie-dye shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
I
what
love
4
it.
colors are these?
I love it.
Lavender purple, mint green. What's the powder
Oh my
blue?
God, you did it for the...
Is that powder
That's-
blue and powder
goodness.
pink?
I see what you did there. Bear's in the house. What up, Bear?
There's levels,
Daddy Hydra says, great stream, guys. I really like how y'all break things down. Thank you. Our goal every time is to make sure that we assume that everybody, that we've always got new people in the show, in the audience. People who may not have heard it or may not have picked up on it the last time we talked about it. So we always want to approach all the information we deliver in a way that is, I would say, comprehensive for everybody. If you've already heard it before, then you already know the answers, but a lot of people don't. And sometimes people might be afraid to ask questions, so we just want to make sure we put all the information out there for them. Grim Attitude's in the house. Hello. How's it going? There's a bear in the stream. Rawr. All right.
What's up, Bear?
Zombie Rain says Zach is just the right amount of extra, and I love it. That's absolutely true. 100%. Okay, now I noticed you've got a flippity flop in the back there.
Mm-hmm.
What's that for?
This thing right here?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So those are our cable management doors that Zach has put on here. Now, typically we put these on at the end, but what he's done is mounted our fan controller to this door. So now he's getting his fan cables plugged in. We'll get this turned and show you maybe from a side shot here. Zach, we'll go to that camera. Yeah. And show you what we got going on. So if we can go over to the side there, I think we've got it. Yep. Okay. You can see the bottom of our fan controller there. I might be able to.
Yeah.
Possibly, probably,
Might be able to get
perhaps.
it, Jason.
There you go.
I don't want to get it too high. So yeah, so you can see that there.
I like how you mounted that back there.
Thank you.
Looks good. Now, one of the cool things about this, obviously, I would like to point out the plates. There are 4 plates that you can see them sliding back and forth, which are great because it allows for better cable management on that part. But what else can those plates do or be replaced by?
Yes, you can pop these plates out actually. There's a screw on the back. It's kind of like a set screw that allows them to slide forward and back. But you can actually take that set screw out, pull these plates out, and install some really cool looking hard drive trays here. So there's actual trays that will lock in, and then your hard drive sits just like this there. So we've had a couple customers order systems with like 8 extra hard drives. It's like, how do we get all those extra hard drives in here? Obviously we could put probably at least 4 in the bottom depending on the power supply, but then we can stack them up here. And it honestly, it looks really cool when you've got like stacked hard drives on the inside of your case.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Now, the one thing I will say is that I really like, I do like the fact that these things, they slide. And do make it easier for Zach to just push things in and out, and you just slide it closed once you're ready. Gives it a really thorough look. Now, the one thing we have not really talked about, I know we're not quite ready for it, but I guess we could. Do you want to go to the big one or the strong one?
Let's go to the big one first.
All right, our big one is the graphics card going in this. It is an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4090 24 gig card, and this is going to be the gigabyte version. So now these gigabyte is this one of the few that they made in the series?
They've got a few different models out. I've seen, I think, 3 different models here, and I'm sure they'll have more going forward. They may have more out right now. Each one of the manufacturers likes to put out, a baseline, a bigger one, and then usually sometimes they'll put an AIO attached to one of these, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So as you can see, these things it's giant, 24 gigs of memory on this thing. One of the nice things about the Gigabyte is the design of it. It's it's a very solid design. I love the end piece, the back plate. Defined gig version. Well, there's different versions of the card.
Yeah, so
subject.
Yeah, they'll have different coolers on top of them. They'll, obviously all be 4090s, but they'll put different coolers on them. And then usually with that different cooler, they'll be at a slightly different clock speed.
Yep. Now, there are some, in some cases, there are different versions of the cards that come out with regards to how many gigs they have on them. We've seen that before where they've had 10 and 12 gig cards, 20 versus 24, 16 versus 20. It all depends on what. Now, that's a good question for Paul, actually. Who determines how much memory is installed on the card? Is that the vendor, or is that actually NVIDIA?
So that's going to be actually NVIDIA. They're going to decide,
Okay.
Because that's all going to be pre-soldered surface mount technology onto the PCB. So essentially what happens is NVIDIA will sell these cards, to all the different manufacturers, and they'll just have the bare PCBs and put their own coolers. They obviously do a lot of engineering and R&D and testing on the coolers to find out which ones do what, put a little bit more money into some and make some a little bit more economical.
Yeah.
Is that. And on this card here, what's kind of cool, that's a little bit not noticeable at the beginning, but if you look inside here under these fans, you can see the 3 RGB rings around the fan. So those will look really good once they're on.
Yeah. There we go. Look at that. That thing is huge. And of course, you can see those copper pipes in there, which I always think it looks slick. You've got that back plate on there. There are some people who might not understand how or why that big of a housing is necessary and how big an actual graphics card is. How about we show them what actually goes into making a graphics card?
Yeah, for sure. This is one of my favorite things to do on this show. So we will look at this. First off, what I want to point out is the PCB, the actual board that this card has. So it's this orangish, yellowish line that you can see right here, running from the end to right here. And you can see obviously our video card has all this extra length on it, and that's for those heat pipes to extend out with all these fins to take away some of the heat. If you actually look in here, if I catch this angle right, you can see through these fins a little bit. And that's just to provide airflow. Yeah, there you go. You can see my fingers through there and the fan spinning. So I like to point that out to show that the length of this card is not just the actual PCB in itself, it's actually the cooler on top of it. So I've got a 1050 Ti here that is dead and out of warranty. So I've taken the hardware out to take off our actual cooler on top of it. So all that we got to do there, just pull this off once we take our screws off. And this is all your video card is. Like I said, this is a 1050 Ti. This is obviously a little bit shorter than the 4090 we got, but the 4090 isn't much longer than this. So this is your actual GPU itself. You can see the thermal paste that comes on there. And then we've got our memory chips around here. So our 4090 is going to be just like this. And then when I turn this to the side, you can see how thin a video card actually is. So our 4090 is just as thin as this, a little bit longer. But this really shows you how much of the video card is just in the cooler and how much heat that it generates to have to deal with, to have a cooler that big.
Yeah. Yep. It's wild to think that they're that small.
It really is.
All right. So, because of the weight of this thing, let's talk about different ways that you can ensure that you're not stressing that top PCIe slot that's on the motherboard.
Yeah, so with a card this size and this weight, if we just installed this in the system with no extra hardware, it would sag a little bit. That would kind of refer to as GPU sag in our world. So if you're looking at the side of your case, it would sit like this, but this side is going to kind of droop down a little bit. So what we've done here is install an anti-sag bracket. So some of that is on the motherboard. That's for those standoffs that we showed. And you can see this right here. This is our anti-sag mounting hardware. And then if we go back to this shot, I'll show you we've mounted the other piece to our video card itself right here. You can see Zach's done that. So once we install this system, this tab, you can see the hole in it, is going to line up with that bracket we just showed. Yep, right here in the case. And so it's going to be secured to the case right here and obviously to the back where you usually mount your card.
But first, hold on, sorry. Hard drive.
Oh yes, that's right.
All right, here's a little tip for you guys. hard drives before big old graphics cards because it's a little bit difficult to get a SATA behind a 4090.
Yeah.
I'm happy I remember that.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good
I would have been
idea.
upset.
So Zach's plugging in his SATA data cable right now for our hard drive. And what he just mentioned is that this card is obviously huge and it's going to extend out and cover up those SATA ports. So he's got a SATA cable plugged in there.
Yep.
And we'll install our hard drive now. That way we don't got to try to fish it through the hole and find the slot.
Yeah, it's that's always a good thing to identify. Now, this is a big, thick card. Obviously, it looks like it's a threefer. Is it a 2 or 3?
So this is probably, I mean, this is at least, this is a 3.5 or a 4 slot here.
Okay, got it. Now, that can affect the availability or accessibility to some of the potential other PCIe slots on the board. However, this board is unique in that sense of how they've designed that top panel where you've got those first 2 M.2s. So you've got a very large blank space in there, and then you've got your small, well, looks like a smaller PCIe slot. What's that called?
So that's going to be our PCIe
Is that a by
by
one?
one. Yep. So
Okay.
yeah, that by number refers to the length of the PCIe slot itself. And so that by one's usually used for a sound card, wireless card, you know, network card, something like that, capture card.
Maybe you need extra USBs.
Yeah,
But,
extra USBs.
yeah. So here's a question for you. If you did need extra USBs, you wanted to get a USB card, you're limited to the bandwidth of that channel, correct?
Sort of, yes. So you're limited to the bandwidth of that channel. Now on a board that's recent, you know, within the last year or two, any USB card you get is going to work in those slots and transfer very fast.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and get to our video card.
Now, have we decided what type of an NASEC bracket we're going to be installing? Oh, look, it's already there. Perfect.
So yeah, so you can see Zach's actually got that tab that we showed on the video card under that mounting port that's on the video card, and he's going to install that set screw right there.
Perfect. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get our power supply unboxed and try to get some of that ready for Zach.
So as far as power supplies go, this is a monster, and you know, I've got a couple questions as to why someone would need one that's big. This is a 1300 watt EVGA Supernova 13 GT. It is an 80 plus gold power supply, and this thing is huge.
Yeah, this
it's
is a
strong.
beast. This is what stands out the most to me on this build. This is a huge power supply.
So you've got, so you've got, obviously this thing comes with a lot of power to it. What possibly could you add that might need that kind of power in addition to what it's already going to be using for your, for the graphics card and the processor and all?
Maybe a second 4090. That would be pretty cool. No, more practical things though. Any extra hard drives?
What about second system?
Yeah, exactly. Second system, all that good stuff. But yeah,
All the power. Yeah.
this is a good power.
Subject mentions he's got a question. Oh,
go ahead.
What's
Go
that
ahead.
question, subject? I love they come in their own cloth bags too.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Now, I noticed there's no cables on that. How are you going to connect it?
All right, so this is a fully modular power supply, which, as you mentioned, there's no cable soldered into this. So we've got ports on the back here. Since it's a 1300
Whoa.
watt, we have a ton of ports.
Look at the ports.
Yeah, it's got a lot. So it comes with this fat stack of cables right here. I'll give those to Zach.
That-
Kind of
yeah.
start, getting out.
Jace.
And obviously,
Oh.
I like the EVGA modular power supplies because they're labeled really well. So obviously on our
Absolutely
ports here,
agree.
we've got our, you can see CPU, VGA, motherboard, all these are labeled well. And then our cables, the ends that go in the power supply, are labeled PSU as well. So you can see we've got these right here with labels on the ends. I wish every power supply manufacturer did this. It'd be great. So
Yeah. Yep. So, subject actually asks a good question. Where would one's monitors connect to? The GPU itself or the actual rig HDMI, excuse me, the actual rig HDMI display ports? And I can already tell you the answer to that is two parts. Actually, I'm going to let you explain it. You're the technical expert.
Yeah, no, that is a
It depends,
great question. That's actually one of our one of the biggest questions we get is, you know, where do you plug in your monitors? You definitely want to plug them into the video card. Now, when we ship these should come with a sticker on the back over the I/O shield showing, hey, don't plug your video card here, plug it in here. Now, if your processor has video and you plug it into your motherboard, you will get video, but your system won't be using your video card for video. Now, with this system, since we have a KF processor, if we plugged it into our motherboard, we wouldn't get video. So that'd be a pretty easy way to tell, oh yeah, I need to plug it into the video card.
Funny story, a friend of mine who has been a mod on my channel, and she used to be with Mixer, named Hiccup, and Hiccup always played Rainbow Six Siege with us. And Hiccup was always getting relatively terrible frame rate, you know, and we're talking lucky if she could pull 45 in Rainbow Six Siege. 45 frames, that's horrific. So one day she asks in our Discord call before we started stream, right as we started stream, she goes, hey, question, I'm wondering if maybe I'll have a bad HDMI port. What do you mean? She goes, well, I don't know, maybe I should plug it into the other one. What other one? Well, there's one on this extension that's coming off of the motherboard. You mean your graphics card? Yeah. Are you not using your graphics card? Should I have been? Yes.
She's just thinking about the longevity of her system, you know?
And she plugged it in there, and then she was getting 120 frames per second. She's like, all right, this is great.
There you go.
I'm like, how long have you been doing this? She says, ever since I got the PC, I just saw the one that was up there and assumed I used that. The others were just extras. Yep. Nope, not the case. Dang. So, but again, there are no such things as stupid questions. People asking is the fastest way to teach other people around you. Hey, guess what? I'm also awkward. So yeah. Okay, Zach's on the big plugs for that graphics card.
And to this day,
lots of power going into this thing.
In power to the 4090.
Oh yes. All right. So speaking of plugs, Jason, maybe now's a good time to plug our website.
Yeah.
Over at CLXgaming.com, we try and make everything as effortless as possible in order for you to get your hands on the ultimate system that not only meets your needs, but also matches your brand. With our unique, I would say, assembler or builder, it gives you the option of choosing everything from your processor to your motherboard, your graphics card, your RAM, any extras you might want in addition to it. But don't worry, you don't have to be an expert to do this. Should you accidentally choose something that's not necessarily compatible, you'll see where the green that says add to cart changes to solve conflict. In that solve conflict area, it provides you with all of the options to resolve the issue. So say you're choosing DDR4 RAM, but you've got a motherboard that's a DDR5 board. It'll show you the DDR4 boards that'll work with the RAM you chose, or it'll show you the DDR5 RAM that works with the board you selected. This makes sure that you get everything that is going to be compatible before it goes to testing and before it gets shipped home. But to some of you, that might seem like a lot. So don't worry. We also have hundreds of different assembled, pre-built, ready-to-ship models that are looking for a new home, and it may very well be with you. So for all of your PC needs, check us out. Head on over to CLXgaming.com. Now, with that said, I did mention something we haven't really talked about, and that is where do these systems go when you build them?
Yeah, so any machine we build here, whether it's a customer build like this, a giveaway we got in the back, a system going to DreamHack, PAX, any convention, once they are built and turned on, they go into our testing and integration department. And the first thing we do there is get into the BIOS. We'll make sure our RAM speed's set correctly. All of our storage drives are showing up, M.2s, SSDs, HDDs, all that good stuff. Sometimes there's some other settings we might need to set in there depending on the OS. But once your BIOS is set, then we will actually load the operating system. If you selected any games off the website, that's where we load that. And then after that's done, we do a 12-hour burn-in or a 12-hour stress test, where we run various benchmarking softwares to make sure the system is stable. What that allows us to do is if maybe a stick of RAM allows the system to turn on, but once it's gaming in a gaming environment, it causes the system to fail. That allows us to catch that here at our location, replace that, retest it, and make sure that you get a stable system sent to you.
Speaking of stable systems, there is a question for you, Paul, coming in from Radical Tire, or Radical 9 Tire. I'll just call you Rad. It says, can't some motherboards route the signal from the GPU to the motherboard output?
Yeah, so we've done that a couple times for our business workstations here. Now, typically, you're only doing that. Like, I've only ever seen that done when we need to connect more monitors. Like, oh, I need 4 monitors at my workstation. I'm not gaming or anything. I just need more video ports. And so that's a situation where you could do that. It's definitely not too common, though. And then it comes down to, can your motherboard do it? Can your processor do it? Because I've done that here. I've made that mistake where it's like, okay, I've got the right motherboard in here. Why am I not getting video on this? And I troubleshoot, get IT involved, can't figure it out. It's like, oh, my processor doesn't have onboard video. That's why. So
yeah. Okay, now we are in the final stages of all the cable management. Zach, what are some big key tips or tricks when getting everything put together inside of your very own system?
So like we talked about earlier about, having good proper cable management for airflow, it does affect your airflow. Like if I was just to leave this cable bundle, like going through the middle of the case, that's a spot for all of the dust that will get sucked in and pulled into the system to accumulate on, and then you'll get nice big old dusty cables right in the middle of your, sweet pristine looking build. So just having those tucked away to where they're hard to, there's not just hanging out dangling. That's pretty important for good management.
Got it. Radical says it's tray as in 3. So the 9 is silent. Just asking for a friend. So it's Radical 93. Yeah. Oh. No. Oh, got it. Now I'm just gonna call you 93 forever. It's the year before I graduated high school. That's awkward. What? Yeah, I graduated high school in 94, dude.
Oh man.
Yeah, computers were barely a thing. Cell phones were gigantic and could be used as weapons, and as in any home invasion situation. The Astro van was still kind of cool.
Yeah. Could have bought a few Black Lotuses back then.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. So, all right, some big ribbons up in there. Mount all of that, get it all plugged in, and then you're just gonna slide that puppy back in, screw it down.
We'll be rocking and rolling.
Yes. Kenzu graduated in 89. Damn!
89.
So apparently I am not the oldest one in the room.
Nice.
All right.
How are your knees feeling, Kensu?
All right. Nobody past 45 enjoys the way their knees feel. We'll be very clear with this. Nobody. Sounds like somebody stepped on a box of bubble wrap every time we, get up and stretch. I go and get up a plane and I have to stretch my knees out because they, like, after the surgeries, they just are not comfortable sitting in the same spot for a while. That's why you see me getting up and moving in my chair a lot, because my knees will start to bother me. Alrighty. Yep, class of 89, the last ones of the 80s. Definitely giving off that Breakfast Club vibe. You're 34 and sound like Rice Krispies getting up? Yeah. No,
I feel that.
Just from my years in dance, everything is a blown out mess. And then I got to buy that stupid car, and now I've got, I'm basically a quarter transformer.
Nice.
I'm on my way to total Autobot domination. All right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, listen, we may feel like our bodies fall apart, but at the same time, we play video games and build computers for a living.
Can't complain.
Yeah, no, I have zero complaints about that part.
Dude, I graduated 09. I'm 33 now. Yeah, 33, I think. I mowed my
Damn.
lawn for the first time 2 weekends ago. I got done and sat down to take my boots off, and I thought I got stuck. My back just like seized for a second, and I was like, I
Oh,
mowed
Lord.
the lawn and edged. Like, what is going on? And I had to
Yeah.
stop. It like took the wind out of me for a second. I was like, what is going on? Like, okay, I guess I need to start working out again, because
Back spasms are painful, dude.
it was like
They're
I bent over to
ridiculous.
undo my shoelaces and then just got stuck for a second. I was like, what is happening? Like,
This is me
this is how
now.
it starts. Where's my AARP card?
Right?
It's too early for this. Yeah.
So, yeah, really, you just, I'm going to just repeat what Jason said. You just need to tell your friends, hey, listen, I didn't get these sleeves just for nothing.
Yeah.
I beat up a lot of boxes.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
Dude, are you a boxer? I mean, I like boxing.
I love boxes.
Computers?
Of course.
I put them in computers all the time.
Do I look like a
I
dog?
put computers in them all the time. A four-way front yard. Anyone have a four-way front yard?
No.
No.
My backyard is
hell's a
broken
four-way-
into 2 sections, which I thought was kind of weird, but no.
Yeah, I taught. I blew my ACL out when I got hit by that car. It took, but they had to wait 4 years. No, sorry, 3 years in order for me to be able to stand the surgery, which is hilarious. Yeah, I'm not sure what a four-way front yard is.
Sounds
there.
like some Canadian stuff.
Does it mean there's like all roads lead to your front yard? Now I'm super intrigued.
Ooh. I think
Oh,
I think
unless
I
it's-
might
is
know
that a-
what it is. I'm getting
I
smarter.
think I know what's going on.
I'm getting smarter.
No, I didn't. I thought it was what it is, but I didn't want to actually say something because I was
man.
waiting for somebody else to tell me I could.
My
But yeah,
intelligence level has increased.
who got it? Who got it?
All right, I think I'm good.
We're good. All
think
right.
so.
So, all right. So we'll
Well-
get this
well done,
cable
Ivory.
management door panel on, but we'll show you guys what it looks like with them open, just to show you our cable management here. So you can see, looking inside here, everything looks nice and neat.
Yep.
Nice.
They finally got it. They're like, oh my God. That's hilarious.
There we go. So we got our cable management doors on. We're gonna throw the panels on and fire this thing up.
Perfect. Let's get them panels on and call it good. There we go. All right, get that front panel up. Then you just got these big doors. Now, one of the things that I definitely like, as you can see right here in this shot, is the fact that you've got both of those cover panels that are locked down, hold all the cables in, they hide the cables, and then, of course, your doors just close. Makes it super simple. God. Okay, and also, the plastic removal is so easy, comparatively.
Thank you, Phanteks. Leon Lee's been doing a little bit better,
Yes.
but we still gotta fight him sometimes.
There we go. Big brain smarts. Alrighty. Right, the plastic ASMR. Let's get it on. Alright, we'll get that into the perfect spot. Ilfan got it. Four-way front yard, people. There we go. Now they're getting it. Alrighty. Yes, this is how I like to give away the codes. Once I usually 5 or 10 people get it, I'm very then I'll give it out. But yeah, there we go. LAV 4WFY. If you haven't got it, four-way front yard. Very smart, dude.
Oh, yeah. Alrighty, are we good to go, Jason? All right. we got the okay to fire it up. So here
let's
we go.
do it.
Zach's letting me.
Woo! Look at that.
I love that. I like chasing. This is so cool.
Yeah, the light chasing is just wicked. You've got the actual LEDs on the board itself, plus the behind, the RAM, the fans, and that lower. Look at that.
Yeah, built into the case there. I really like that. Some
Built
of you
into
don't
the case
notice
down there.
until it's turned on.
No,
Looks really good.
that's awesome. I love it. Can't even come up with a funny one for this. It's LAVYG3T. Listen, you get 3 tries. YG3T. You get 3 tries.
3 strikes and you're out.
Get it? There you go. All right, so let's take a look one more time as to what went into this amazing PC. For Paul in Arizona, we've got... Oops, there we go. We've got a Core i9 13900KF processor from Intel, and that is going to be mounted inside of an MSI MPG Z790 Edge Wi-Fi motherboard. It's got 64 gigs of DDR5 5600 RAM, and of course your graphics are punching through that gigabyte NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4090 24 gig graphics card. The operating system is being installed on a 2 terabyte Kingston NV1 M.2 NVMe. And of course, our secondary storage for all those games and files is a 4 terabyte, 3.5-inch Western Digital Blue hard disk drive. The CPU will be cooled down by the CLX Quench 360 closed loop liquid cooler. And of course, it's also additionally being chilled out and fanned by 7 AEOLUS M2 ARGB fans, and all that power is coming from a massive 1300 watt EVGA Supernova 80 plus gold power supply. Well, congratulations, Paul in Arizona. Your PC is going to be on its way to testing here very shortly. Now, as most of you know, we have a show that is done in 2 parts. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, you're going to spend an afternoon with Zack as he continues on a building spree to answer your questions, and just in case, you're liking to see him use a screwdriver. I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm sure it's something. Don't forget, you can catch us and find out what's going on with the latest and greatest of all things CLX Gaming on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter, also places that you can find codes. Make sure you can check in and watch through some of our older videos, just in case you missed something or there's something else that you need to find. You can also join in and jump in with a large community of like-minded gamers over at discord.gg/CLX Gaming, where you also may just find an opportunity to get another code. The other place you can grab codes over on my channel, DJ BluePDX, which will be happening later on today. And yes, I got a code I'm gonna be dropping out, and I got to come up with a really good rhyme for it. But with that being said, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we've got part 2 of the show. On behalf of Jason and Kyle in production, Paul and Zach, I'm DJ BluePDX. Don't go away. We've got more coming up right after this. We'll be right back.
Oh, yeah.
See you guys.
See ya.